sports fans, we're back. That's right. It's Wednesday night. This Fans View is live, and we're pretty fired up tonight, wouldn't you say, guys?
Yes, we are. NFC Championship. Here we come.
It's a nice little lineup you got in front of you there, John.
I know how Jalen Hurts feels. I'm feeling pretty well protected right up here.
They found room for you on the corner, huh?
Yeah, it's okay. We're doing good.
All right.
It's nice little lineup that you can find here at Carl's Cards with all the jerseys.
For sure. All right, we can jump into a lot of Philly sports talk, but around the 7 o'clock hour, we're gonna dive into Eagles football, fast and furious with Kevin Reilly. He brings a lot of enthusiasm. He brings a lot to the show. So I know I'm personally excited to have him. Welcome, Joe. Thanks for the signage on the Clearwater sign. That made for a great picture. And we will see you on and about March the 10th. March 10th to March 20th. So, John, why don't you get us caught up on Fantasy Football Playoff Edition and tell us who's in the lead.
All right. Well, we have 67 people playing this contest, and had a lot of moving and shaking going on this week with some upsets and teams being knocked out. So we got the William Zolnick. He's in the lead with Glenn Dickerson in second and Will Brady in third. So we have a nice little competition going on, and got to give a huge shout out to Janice Solera. I think is how you pronounce her name. She's the only one so far out of the 67 people that have a perfect schedule or roster right at the moment, with all 24 players still playing. So she's lurking right behind in a few spots, and she's hoping to make a big move once this weekend comes up, if things break her way. She needs the Eagles and the Bengals, I believe, is the two teams she needs to get into the Super Bowl. So to have a pretty good lock on the championship here for it.
Wow.
So.
Well, congrats to her.
Yeah, Mickey Morandini's hanging in there. He also has the Bengals, so he's continuing to play well as well here. So it's been fun. You know, we've got a lot of moving and shaking, and you know, it's funny that we only have, out of the 67 lineups, there's only about 5 that are duplicates. So
oh wow,
yeah. So it's been pretty good. Everybody's been pretty spread out, which is making it fun for everybody. So
nice.
Yeah, and I got yelled at earlier today in our group chat for messaging everybody. Where's the roster? So everybody's where's the updated scores? So everybody's pretty excited about it. So
okay,
I had to do my calculator a little faster.
Yeah, I feel somewhat guilty because we never really talked about a prize for the playoff edition, and I think we'll just throw it out there that it'll be a mystery Eagles mini helmet.
There you go.
And the farther the Eagles go in the playoffs, the better the prize will be. How's that?
There you go.
In case you didn't have enough pressure already to get to the Super Bowl.
Well, we're gonna save that talk for Kevin Reilly to see what kind of pressure the team's really feeling, if they're feeling anything at all. For as young as this team appears to be, they're really a lot of veterans. So I don't know. Maybe playing at home has a lot of confidence. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Getting
everybody back healthy is also making it.
Well, it's really ironic because, I guess early in the season the talk was, we got to give this team time to get to know each other. The players got to learn the system, and then all of a sudden, we're like 13-0.
Right.
You know what I mean? And everybody's like, well, I guess they know each other now. And, you're right, Joe Stinger. It's a Philly thing for sure. They all seem to, to just fit right in. The biggest one, and I've known to follow her more and more every week is Darius Slay's wife on Twitter.
Yeah.
She's pretty funny. She's funny. She's not buying everybody beers just quite yet. But we'll leave that up to Reese Hoskins. What's her name, Lauren? Jamie.
But Darius Slay's wife does give away an awful lot of Eagles tickets.
Boy, she does. And
apparently she makes a hell of a banana pudding.
All right. So you've been following her as well.
Yeah. Apparently it shows up at some of the legendary Eagles tailgates. She gives it to the guys, I think, on Friday nights whenever they have their team meetings. So.
Pretty good. Good stuff. Let's Anthony, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I know you probably cut your schedule short to get to be part of us, and I appreciate that.
No problem.
I'm seeing a lot of iron coming up out of the ground there. You want to give us an update there in Baseball Town?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's good for the environment, but it's good for the stadium that we're able to keep building because it's not been too cold out. So there hasn't really been, other than some like flurries here and there, that it hasn't been too cold where they had to stop building. So everything still looks to be on schedule. They should be done theoretically with the outside of the building for the April 10th. I think it's April 10th or 11th is our 11th is the first home game. So should be ready by then. I don't know if all pieces of the outside will be totally done. There might be some windows that need to be still put in and all that sort of stuff. But there's no real rush because it's not going to be ready until the year after anyway. But in the next couple of weeks, we should be able to have more of a idea of what it's going to look like. Right now, it's kind of tough to see. It's just, steel beams going up but I imagine over the next 2 weeks, they should be laying that all down and getting the bricks up. So you have a better idea in the next 2 weeks. So it's exciting. It's a lot of movement at the stadium right now with a project like this. And, I'm thankful that we're sort of ahead of the game because some of these teams still have a lot of work to do. So we're in a good spot.
Can you give us any clues? You guys haven't put your promotional schedule out yet, right?
Not yet. We're working on it.
Anything exciting you can tell us about?
There'll definitely be a few bobbleheads. I don't want to go over names just yet, just in case any of that changes, but there'll be a few. It's getting tougher and tougher to do them just because the cost of everything is just outrageous. So, but yeah, we're going to definitely have a few of those. Definitely some appearances, a pro wrestler appearance, a couple other celebrity appearances. But I imagine by I would say mid-February, we should have that out. Obviously, most Thursday, Friday, Saturdays are still fireworks. There's going to be a couple of those Mega Blast fireworks, which, 2 of those themes will be Harry Potter and Star Wars as always. I think we're going to try to potentially have maybe a Taylor Swift themed one, hopefully. Some of those are to be determined. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, one could totally be an Eagles theme like we did a few years back. But no, it's coming along. We should have a better feel for it in the next 2 to 3 weeks and get the pocket schedule out there.
Very cool. Nice.
Well, Anthony, we were talking in the store today after seeing some of the pictures of the building going up. We have a little suggestion here that you might want to pass along and steal from us.
All right.
Maybe putting some bleacher seats out on top of the building. Like they did at Connie Mack Stadium, and then the ball.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't know that's a great question. I don't know how big the top of the building is. That would be a great idea. I never really thought of it until now. But no, that's definitely a good idea. I mean, the balcony itself, when anyone's renting that area, the inside holds 500 people for cocktail party or dinner or banquet or something like that, you could obviously partial it off if there's a smaller group. But I think the balcony itself should be able to fit. And you can obviously fit 500 people out on the balcony, but I think you could fit about 150 people out there. So I think we're trying to figure out how exactly we would sell that for a game. Obviously the extra events are easy because you could just have people in there and it's on an off day and they can do whatever they want. But selling it for a game is what we're trying to figure out. It'll be interesting. We're definitely going to be able to use it because the Phillies aren't going to be using that space anymore. They're going to have their own batting tunnels. So we're going to just have it as a banquet room. But I don't know if you'd have to book the whole thing. I imagine most people wouldn't be booking 500 people for a game. So we'll have to figure out how we're going to do that. But it's exciting because every day you go and it's a little bit more done.
Yeah, nice. Maybe it could be called This Fan's View Rooftop Bleachers. Maybe.
Oh, that would be great, Johnny. If you got a check, I will.
No, it's in exchange for the idea. It's for in-kind sponsorship.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately,
exactly. Thank you, Lauren. That was where I was going. We put it out there. Look how much money you guys are going to be making with.
Yeah. I like that idea.
And look, you could throw us a couple buffet tickets.
Oh, there you go. That's it. Well, then we're sold.
Fat boy likes to eat, so send me.
Yeah.
A couple of buffet tickets and we're good to go.
But Johnny, have you seen anything in I guess not Trenton because technically it's not that affiliated right now, but I wonder how far ahead some of the other teams are. I haven't really been paying attention to anyone but us. I know the Iron Pigs have to do this stuff and Wilmington I'm sure has to do it because all teams do it, but I haven't really followed any other teams to see how far the other local teams have progressed.
Yeah, I don't know. I did actually see Trenton does have a Tom McCarthy night with the bobblehead that he's going to be there.
Yeah, it's he said a talking bobblehead, which will be.
Is that what it is? Talking bobblehead? Yeah.
Yeah, he said when he was in the store that he went there for a Friday afternoon and they had him record a bunch of different phrases. I guess there was one of them might be a big call he had. I don't know if Tony Clark hit a home run back when they were affiliated with the Yankees back in the day or something that. Some big call that he had to look at his notes from 1995 to re-record. So stuff like that's cool.
Right.
That'd be neat. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people there for that.
He was talking a little bit about that when they were in the store that day.
Right.
About Trenton and whatnot. Hey, real quick, Baseball Town, you guys got a new play-by-play guy.
Yeah, Bob McCool. He's locally in Berks County. He's known. He's known throughout the state. So Bob McCool does a lot of the local high school sports here. He used to be affiliated with the Reading Eagle and WEU for years when they were owned by when the Reading Eagle owned both companies. Then after the Reading Eagle sort of, times changed in the newspaper business, Bob went to go work for PCN, which is the, Pennsylvania Cable News Network. And he was in charge of sales for them, but he was also in charge of a lot of the high school championship football games that you'd see throughout the state. So it's nice to have him. He'll be working with us for our pregame and for all our home games. And then Jake, who's one of our new interns, graduated with a degree in broadcasting. So they'll be able to work together, which I think is really nice feature. Bob's an older guy. He's sort of looking to do it just for fun so he can stay involved. And Jake's the younger sort of protege that's going to get some experience. So to have two of them together, I think will be a really nice thing for Jake.
Very cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Good job. Hey, before we run out of time in our first half hour, Sixers are home tonight, and one Ben Simmons is back in town. Does anybody really even care?
Everybody cares because tomorrow night we're gonna get free nuggets at Wendy's, right? With the Frosties or
nuggets. It's now nuggets, right?
To be honest with you, I haven't been watching nearly as closely just with work and everything, but I just feel I don't know if it's with the Eagles doing so well and the Philly. I feel like I haven't heard a peep about this unless I'm missing something.
Well, that's because all they do is keep winning. They were 5-0 on the West Coast trip.
Didn't he play them hard last time? What happened last time? I forget.
Well, I feel like part of it is he already was here once, so we kind of did this already.
Right.
So he's coming back for a second time.
So do they?
He was pretty boring the last time he was here, so there wasn't really much to it. I personally was kind of underwhelmed by the fans' response when he was here the first time. I didn't think it was as crazy as I expected it to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's just kind of irrelevant right now. The Sixers are doing so well that everyone kind of expects them to win tonight. And even if they don't, it's not a make or break. And then, yeah, I think the Eagles steal the headlines of everything.
It's probably a good thing that it's actually wasn't as crazy as it was, because it just shows that he's kind of irrelevant. You know what I mean? If you waste your time, I'm sure they'll always get booed forever, just like, some other guys that come back to town and get booed, but he's sort of irrelevant. You know what I mean? It's not, if it's a playoff game, I could see those boos being pretty big, but who cares right now that with all the other teams doing so well?
Well, I think the Nets were stinking up the joint the last time they were in town too.
Right.
They've since fired Steve Nash, their coach. They're playing a whole lot better. Now they lost Kevin Durant to an injury, so it's Kyrie's team now. But they are playing better.
They're fascinating because, if all those guys could stay healthy, you can easily see them winning a championship. But I don't know that there's one time for more than 2 weeks at a time where they've ever been healthy. I don't know if that's just a matter of getting old or bad luck or what. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, they're a tough team. Like, you feel like they got all the pieces they need where, we're always wondering about the Sixers. But they just cannot stay healthy enough to get it going.
Yeah, that seems to be the play even throughout the league, though. There's just one injury after another. But Sixers come back home. They got a nice little run here at the Wells Fargo Center. So hopefully they can keep. I don't know. Has anybody heard anything? Is Harden and Embiid playing tonight? I didn't hear anything that they weren't. So.
Embiid, they said, was still dealing with a little bit of a sore foot.
Right.
So it might be a game time for him. It sounded like Harden was playing. But yeah, we'll have to see with
okay.
I'm sure he'll be the foot pain will go away once he sees Ben Simmons out there that he can.
Do you think he really even cares?
I hope that doesn't even impact his efforts.
No, true, but just the way it all ended here with them. Throwing him under the bus. I think there is some bad blood between them. But
yeah, absolutely. But
you feel like they've been using the bench a little? I know we talk about the bench. I talk about it every time. You think they've been using it a little bit better? I know they don't have a choice with the center sometimes when Joel's out, but do you feel like they've been using it a little bit better? I haven't seen the last few games, so I can't really speak on it, but I don't know if it feels like the same. I feel like there's so many guys on that bench that don't get to see the time sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I try to watch them as much as possible, and I just feel like they made John threw a suggestion in the coach to bring Maxey off the bench, and next thing I know, the coach listened, and now Maxey comes off the bench. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, wait, John had that. He projected that like a while ago.
Well, that's what my thoughts are. That's a great idea. I mean, if you start Harden and Embiid together, if Maxey comes off the bench and you have some other guys that he could work with and he has his side, and just do more of that stuff, because I just wish they would. The tough part is, like you said, in the playoffs, when those guys get off the bench,
right?
Are they going to be so rusty? If you can get them in the rotation, even a few minutes a game, you feel like they'd have a better chance, So
no, they seem to have it going right now. I mean, to go out on the West Coast and win 5 straight. I know there were a lot of close games, but you're still getting the W, right? And to be out on the West Coast, that far away from home, and some of those teams, they were playing pretty good basketball at the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, it's a just that travel alone, beats you up, out there. So it's important to see, that they fought through that, and like you said, everybody's going to go up and downs throughout the regular season, but that's a nice little run out there.
Hopefully, it foreshadows the future, because you always worry about the whatever team they'd be playing on the West, and they just beat all those teams out there. So hopefully, if you can do something like that once you get to the playoffs on one of those West Coast teams, you should be in a good spot.
Right.
Sure.
No, true.
Sure. Hey, I hate to switch gears, but what was everybody's thought on Scott Rowland former Philly, former Rookie of the Year in Philadelphia. What was that, 1997? Rookie of the Year. And, now he's going into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Everybody, I know he played he was out there in Baseball Town in 95, I believe it was.
Yeah, I mean, from everything I hear, he was a very nice guy. One of those guys that would come in the office and thank everybody, first to wear like a crazy promotional jersey, never complained, signed autographs for people. So I'd be super happy for him. It's just frustrating some of those other guys. I don't know if any of you guys saw, it's just fascinating how it works compared to the other Hall of Fames where they have so many guys in the Football Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame. Baseball is so, back in the day to get people in. You look like I had on MLB Network last night and they had Chris Russo on there, and Chris Russo's a big fan of the Giants. He's a big fan of Jeff Kent. So they asked him what he thought about it. And he said, listen, it's great for Scott Rowland. I think it's awesome. But he went over number by number by number by number how Jeff Kent's were higher. Obviously Rowland was better defensively, but Jeff Kent's numbers were way higher. He had won MVP, all that stuff, and he got 46%. So it's great for Scott Rowland. I just wish they would be, and I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I wish they weren't so stingy with getting some of those guys in. I mean, there's a lot of guys on there. Who was the guy from Colorado that was on the list?
Todd Helton.
Todd Helton. I mean,
right.
Todd Helton's, some of these guys will probably eventually get in, but it's just like, why does it take, I guess Russo was saying, why does it take a special commission to let them in? Why did it take Fred McGriff so long to get in? If they're good, they just put them in. I don't know why some years there aren't even one. Sometimes you watch that thing and there's no one. And I'm like, loosen it up a little bit, just a little, but good for Scott Rowland.
Yeah, you were lucky to get the one this year, right? And then McGriff on the other side.
He barely made it. It was you need 75%, which is the hardest Hall of Fame to get. And he got 76, but it took all those years. I mean, can you loosen up the standards a little bit? I don't know. It's just crazy.
Yeah, they're just they're bobbing and weaving around this whole steroid era and so much controversy with a lot of these guys that they just will not bend the rules whatsoever. No,
but some of the guys you got in, not that they've been said that they have, but you look at like a David Ortiz, who there'd been some rumors. You look at a Pudge Rodriguez, who there'd been some rumors, but then you don't let some other guys in. Why? Because they looked a little bit bigger. Now I get Bonds and those type guys, but some of the guys that just because they played during those times, that's not fair.
No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, but happy for Scott Rowland.
There is the sweetest video. If you have a chance to look at it on Instagram, go to the Cincinnati Reds page of Scott Rowland coming in to tell his parents, both of whom are still alive, that he got into the Hall of Fame. And it's just, it reminds you that it's so much more than just a game. His mom is the first one to embrace him, and she's got to be 80 years old. His dad comes in with a walker. He hugs him too. It's a really nice video.
Wonder why it's not working.
Greg Smith is saying Facebook is not working, so you have to watch it on YouTube.
Interesting.
What's the problem, Laura? Sue?
I can't get. It won't come on for me. It keeps tells me there's a technical error.
Yeah, that might be it.
I wonder if the weather has anything to do with it. John, you didn't have any issues with StreamYard, right?
No, it's got check marks for both YouTube and Facebook. So it's weird.
Yeah, it looks like it's on here. Maybe it's just
I'm able to get it.
Maybe it depends where you're at.
Facebook, but that could explain why.
Mom's having issues too. But
Emily just texted me and said Facebook is apparently down.
It must have some glitch.
That stinks.
Yeah.
It's got to be a weather issue.
Probably
with what's going on. So
Joe's good down in Florida, so that's
he's always good down in Florida. He gets to go out on the porch and smoke his cigars, and he's good. He's good to go.
Well, real quick, just before we change the subject, I guess we as a team, Scott, our GM, reached out to Scott Rowland today just because he's in our Hall of Fame. He's come back, super nice guy, and we corresponded with him today, and he got back right away. He's not one of those guys that are, bigger than life. So you feel good for guys like that
Nice.
did it the right way.
Nice.
Yeah, for me,
Nice.
I'm ecstatic because at that time of the Phillies baseball, he was the guy I liked the most.
Well, there was a lot of, if you stop and think about it, the Bobby Abreu era, the Mike Lieberthal era,
Right.
with Scott, Pat Burrell was new to the Phillies, right? So, I mean, but they stunk, right? They were
Right.
they were a bad baseball team for a long, long time. And I guess that was part of Scott's problem that, he didn't want to lose. He was, he wanted to win. And I don't know, I don't have any behind the scenes info, but, I guess he forced his hand out of Philadelphia.
Yeah. I mean, it was that. And I think a lot of it too was Kurt Schilling gotten in his ear, at the time, Schilling was wanting to leave and, saying that the Phillies organization wasn't, playing to win, which, us fans here probably thought the same thing at that time, when you were going through all those years. But they had plans. I mean, the plan was for Rolen to be the third baseman for the World Series championship team.
But but John, then he went out of his way in his conversation on with the Hall to give a big shout out to John Vukovic.
Right.
What I mean? For making him the third baseman that he is. Right. With his defense and everything. So, I mean, I guess we're glad he was part of Reading for a long time. Is the conversation the next level when he comes back to Philly? Maybe do something with him in Reading or
yeah, I'm sure if the Phillies have him or he's back in town, I'm sure we would have him. I'm sure, today probably wasn't the best day to bring something like that up, but to stay in touch with him, I'm sure he would come back if he has some time. Yeah. I mean, the nice part about Scott Rolen is if you watch any of those clips, which people forget back in the day, you go to St. Louis and you go to some of those places you have grass, but some of the, and he was a good defensively, but if you see some of those catches off that darn turf,
right.
I mean, it's amazing. You got to know what you're doing to be doing it. Some of the highlights they showed last night were just absolutely amazing.
Sure.
So to go from, people forget about that, how tough it was to go from that to grass. It wasn't like the turf they have now in Toronto. So he did a heck of a job defensively. That
was one of his bitches, was the turf, the Astro turf at the Vet. It was horrible.
Right.
I think the problem is if Scott Rolen went in with Todd Helton and Jeff Kent and like two other people would say, that's pretty good. When it's just Scott Rolen, you kind of feel bad for him in a way because people are like, he's not Mike Schmidt. Well, there's only one Mike Schmidt. This guy can still.
It is weird that he's going in by himself though, because it feels like he's that good that he should go in by himself. Like Derek Jeter went in by himself. That's warranted. This just feels. Just feels odd.
I guess that's the problem with the Hall of Fame voting is not that it's not his fault that he went in by himself. It's the problem is that they're so tight to get someone in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird.
Every basketball player, you go to you went to the NFL Hall of Fame. Anyone that was good should be in. Like baseball's like you got to be like the greatest of the great, and that just makes it difficult.
Yeah. I guess the last question that I have. Does this pave the way for Chase Utley and Jimmy Rollins? Does it make it a little bit easier, for more Phillies?
I think Ryan Howard as well.
Yeah.
When you look at the numbers, I feel like those guys are going to get close and they're not going to get there, not to keep bringing up Jeff Kent or Helton or anything, but those guys are really good too for those teams. And, some of them have, better numbers overall. Ryan's going to struggle because the end of his career, which wasn't his fault, but that's what happens to big guys. Right. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of those guys that were good that if it was the NFL Hall of Fame probably would have made it because it's MLB. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Some of those guys afterwards might get on there with those committees,
right? But
they might not get on there from the actual voting from the writers.
I think some of what Jeff Kent's problems are, he wasn't always good with the media as well. And those guys hold why
are they the moral police?
Right,
I don't quite understand that.
Well, it's that one clause in there where it says integrity.
Right.
And I hate it. I hate it because Ty Cobb is in the Hall of Fame, and I'm sure he was a degenerate. You know what I mean? Like, there was no media back. There was no one to watch that.
What do you know about Ty Cobb? Come on.
He was out of control.
Come on.
He was out of control.
Well, we have our guest is here now, so we can bring in Kevin.
All right. Awesome.
So,
All right.
welcome, Kevin.
There he
Hey
is.
guys, how are you?
Reilly, how are you?
Hi there.
Got my Eagles uniform on, ready to go, baby.
Nice.
There you go. Welcome to This Fan's View. We really appreciate you giving us some time.
Hey, love doing your show, Carl. You know that. Great place up there, and you've always been great. And these guys you got with you are pretty good too.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we were just talking, Phillies baseball and Scott Rowland and getting in the Hall of Fame, but I want to give you every minute that you can possibly share with us about Eagles football right now, because this town is on fire.
Well, it really is, and I'll tell you who else is on fire. This team is on fire. One of the things that I can relate this to, and I didn't play, 100 years in the NFL. I only got 3 in, but I was in training camp with the Miami Dolphins after their undefeated 1972 season. And I was there for 10 weeks, and I played in 7 exhibition games. They are now called preseason games. And being around those guys, I can tell you, reminds me of this Eagles team. It was everybody for the team. Nobody was really stat crazy. As a matter of fact, the entire defense of the Miami Dolphins was called the no-name defense because they didn't have anybody that was on the second team All-Pro team except for Nick Bonacani. But Bill Arnsparger was a defensive specialist, and just like Johnson was with the Eagles, and he put everybody in the right position, but it was a complex defense. And I can remember this was harder than some of the science courses I had at Villanova, sitting up in bed studying them. But that's what he did. He knew how to really get these guys in the right position. And I also look at the fact that when you're with guys like Larry Zonka and Jim Kick, Paul Warfield, just to name a few, Larry Little, there's 6 of those guys that were on that team I went to camp with that are in a Hall of Fame. And I only have one guy with the Eagles, and that's Harold Carmichael that I played with. So I tell you that because the similarities are there in confidence. They're there in the same leadership. Although Shula, I think, had more experience as a coach. Sirianni is a kind of guy that's, he's picking up every stone. He doesn't leave any stone unturned. And it's that kind of discipline, I think, that this team has. And, of course, the leadership. I mean, how could you have better leadership than Jalen Hurts and Jason Kelsey on the other side? And those guys, they really go out there, and like last week, they had fun. They were having fun out there, and everybody wanted to get in the game. So I feel really, really good about this upcoming game for a number of reasons, not the least of which, one of the things you got to look at, when is the last time a team like the Eagles has been this healthy? And I knock on wood. I got the report today about practice, and here's who was limited in practice. Lane Johnson, groin, and Avante Maddox. Well, Lane's going to play. Off that list, they'll have every starter that was available. So they're very healthy. They're playing really well at the right time. And I think they got that confidence level that nobody should beat us. And they shouldn't right now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, let's go back a minute here. And you were talking about leadership and Coach Sirianni. Do you think that's the pedigree, that he was raised in, the football family, his coach, his father was his coach, his brothers were, always in football. Do you think some of that comes to light with the Eagles today? Did we freeze up?
Yeah, and Carl, he's a little goofy, and they take advantage of him on some of these memes and stuff that are out there. But with not only making these guys get down the basics, which I think is really,
Kevin, we may need you to sign out and then re-sign back in and get your connection a little bit better there for us. You're glitching a little bit here with us.
Yeah, the weather might have something to do with it. So maybe you can get him to sign out and then sign back in, because he's got a lot of great conversation, and I hate missing some of these stories. And I forgot all about him following up the 72 undefeated Dolphins. I mean, that's. Early on when the Eagles were 13-0, we were, everybody was talking about, could they be the next team to go undefeated? And he was talking a little bit about that, and having all those Hall of Famers on that team, so he's got some great stories. Hopefully we can get that glitch worked out, because he's got a lot of good football stories. But we, real quick, for Sunday, John and I have been talking about it. I've been talking with Sean a lot about it, and a lot of people that come in the store, they're, what do you think? What do you think? And, my whole theory is, they lose, and I hate to even think along those lines, but if they beat themselves, right? If they make mistakes and, they beat themselves. If they play mistake-free football like they did against the Giants, I think we're not having this conversation next week. John, are you able to add anything?
Yeah, I agree. I think like we had spoken. I'm gonna bring Kevin back in, but as we were talking earlier, I guess not. He's still there. He is. Like we were talking earlier, I kind of wanted the 49ers, to come here, because I think Purdy is only played 2 road games in his career out of the 7 games that he's played, and he's not going to be ready for the environment that he's going to be in on Sunday coming here, playing for a chance to get to the Super Bowl. The 49ers have a really good team around them. And he just doesn't have to, make some mistakes, but that's easier said than done. We've seen how other quarterbacks have pulled it when they got here in this environment.
Yeah. Kevin, you were talking a little bit before you broke up on us about the injury report with the oops.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
That's a shame. Great week. Hopefully we can get this figured out with if it's a Facebook issue. But, I saw where I guess the 2 running backs for the 49ers didn't practice today, along with I guess one of the linebackers.
Yeah. Well, McCaffrey with the calf and Elijah Mitchell with his back, I believe, is his problem.
Yeah. So they're I mean, you hate using injuries as an excuse or having the edge or whatever. I mean, it's certainly part of the game. I mean, Lane Johnson's playing with an abdominal injury, that most guys probably would, have had the operation and be done for the season. But, Kevin, you there? You back?
Yeah,
back with us?
I think, I'm back, and I'll. One of the things I wanted to say and get to it before maybe we lose you again, is that I think the biggest difference, got a young quarterback who's really looked terrific, but he hasn't faced anything like the defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles. And he hasn't faced the fact that they led the league in sacks with mostly a 4-man rush.
Right.
Now you got Reddick at 16 sacks, and you got Graham, Hargrave, and Sweat at 11 apiece. Well, they got Nick Bosa at 18 and a half, and after that it drops to 5, 4.5, 3, and 2. He's going to not be able to outrun Reddick or Sweat. When he does that turnaround like he did last time, they're going to get him.
Right.
And that's where I think the big difference in the game is. And I think if they're going to go out and really play well, the Eagles, they've got to get him early. If you get a young quarterback like that early, they get all, out of whack and they start to lose their confidence. You can't let this kid come out and go 4 for 5 and lead them down the field on the first, drive of the game. And I think the Eagles are good enough to do that.
Yeah.
Is that something you have to worry about, Kevin, with the way we've seen Gannon play his defense, even though they are playing well, like numbers wise, but you always had that early drive that teams go down and waste 8, 9, 10 minutes of the clock on their first drive and score. That can't happen this week, right?
That happens. And, on any first drive, you got to remember one of the things you're going to see is they're going to try to beat you with some of the things they saw on film.
Facebook monsters with this weather.
Sorry about that. I know I'm right down here on the cusp of Delaware, and it's a monsoon out here. So I know Kevin's in Delaware as well, or at least I think he is. But it's a shame because he's got great insight, and hopefully we can get him back for a few more minutes. But
well, I was just going to say before, and I'm sure they don't at this point, but you don't want to take that team for granted. So the Eagles had a little bit of an easier game, you would say. They hit on all cylinders, and then the 49ers really had to play a tough game to get through it. They're banged up, but I don't want the Eagles coming in thinking, hey, we got this. It's still the 49ers are still a good team that's gotten this far.
Yep.
They just because it's a backup quarterback or whatever he is doesn't mean that they can't win. So I hope that and I'm sure they do, but they take it real serious, and don't think that the 49ers can't win because they totally can. They might be tired, they might be hurt, but if they want it more, they might be able to win. So you got to take them pretty serious.
And then, we were talking about just a little bit ago with the Sixers on a 5-game winning streak out on the West Coast, right? They just played, you know what I mean? And, now they got to travel to the East Coast, right?
Yep.
There's it's all, what's that?
There's something to say for that, and this is also, this is their third playoff game versus the second one for the Eagles. So
yep.
That also is a big factor as well.
Yeah. And like Kevin was saying, this Brock Purdy kid hasn't seen, this type of defense.
Right.
It's, you like bragging about your home team, but, Kevin was spitting out all those numbers. Numbers don't lie. You know what I mean? Those numbers don't lie. I mean, those defensive players are as good as they are in the National Football League. Kevin, you back with us?
Yeah, back with you. And, the other thing that people don't understand, and I predicted this last week, although I'm not usually 100% of my predictions, but I knew Daniel Jones was going to have a tough night because he had his best game the week before, best game of his career. And he's not the youngest quarterback, but he's still a little, wet behind the ears. And when you have a good game like that, what do? You go to what was successful from the week before. Now, Gannon's sitting there and says, how are we going to stop him from, taking advantage of what they saw on film? So they put the defense to take away the things that he did well. If you'll notice, he didn't have any runs of any matter that went to the right side. And they were spying on him also. So you can do that when you have the 4 pass rushers that they have, and they can still man up on people and even double team somebody out there. So it was a matter of numbers. If you do that to Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, they go, okay, you out-scouted me. You got a game plan that's going to mess me up on my game plan. But guess what? I've been around a while. I'm just going to change everything up. I'm going to call audibles out my rear end, and we're just going to go to a different pattern.
Sure.
This kid doesn't have that ability yet. And I think they're going to get after him in the first quarter. And I still think he's a very good quarterback. and I'll tell you, he has a lot of potential, but he's still wet behind the ears. He does that circle routine like he did before, and he's got Reddick chasing him. He's going to find Sweat in his path because Sweat will be right there chasing him down too.
Yeah, for sure. Let's circle back a little bit about the fans in Philadelphia and what it's like to play in Philadelphia.
You know, if you've watched the last couple of games where the fans have really been up before they lost the 2 games, that place is louder than I've ever heard it. And when I saw that you were going to, if you could get tickets to the lacrosse game or whatever it was playing and get in at 9 o'clock, I thought, oh my God, that's 11 hours of drinking before they get into the stadium. They're going to be wild. And they were wild. That is just incredible. What I can tell you is a couple times on special teams where I made somebody fumble a punt, there isn't anything that pumps you up like that crowd. You're coming off the field. Remember Roman Gabriel coming on, high-fiving me. The offense is back on the field after I recovered a punt on a fumble on a punt, and the fan base going crazy. It just pumps you up, and then all your buddies pat you on the back when you come to the sideline. That is, in my estimation, that's a 5 to 6 point spread difference having the Philadelphia fans behind you.
Yeah, it's we were talking about it earlier. The popularity in this town, and it always has been a huge football town. We've had some great players, some great individual players, but this team has just they just seem like they have gotten better every week, even through the couple of losses when Minshew was the quarterback. They fought through the injury bug, and now they seem like they have their sights set on the prize. Have any issues with stream?
So it looks like we're down again. Yeah.
Oops.
Oh boy.
We were having fun.
We were
having fun. It was a good conversation.
What do you guys think about the other game, real quick? I mean, the Bengals surprised a lot of people. Not that they surprised me because they got to the championship last year, but they surprised a lot of people by winning in Buffalo. This is going to be I think that's going to be a fun game to watch. Burrow and Mahomes, but
Mahomes, he went out.
Yeah,
I mean, he went out and came back.
Yeah,
but he's not 100% either.
But I mean, I guess my question is: are you more nervous for one rather than the other? I feel like a lot of people would say the Chiefs and Mahomes, but I don't think anyone should sleep on Joe Burrow. I mean, they were just there last year, and they could easily be there again.
No, but just think of it this way, and I don't know how John's thinking, but I kind of think he might be going with me on this. Andy Reid versus his old team, right? The Kelsey brothers, Travis and Jason, right? The first brother combination in a Super Bowl. It just seems like, if that doesn't have a magical feel to it, TV's going to go crazy over this matchup if this is what happens.
Oh
Sure.
yeah. No, that's going to be a blast. That matchup. Like you were saying, the Bengals would be a little bit of a tough matchup. I mean, everybody would think, their mouths are watering that offensive line with our defensive line going after Joe Burrow, but Joe just seems to have a little bit something going on, that little swagger and confidence that he has. That
you can be that damn cocky when you got the best receivers in all of football.
Well, exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
I know our guys are pretty good, but I'll tell you what, their receivers are pretty damn good
As a whole unit, yeah.
And they've got injuries. They've got injuries as well. They're down, two of their big, offensive linemen.
Right.
One may play, the other's definitely out. I'm just looking at that Kansas City Chiefs matchup versus the Philadelphia Eagles because it just feels magical, right?
Oh, yeah.
It feels magical. We had 14 years of Andy Reid here in Philadelphia, right? What better way, for the Eagles, to win their second Super Bowl, but against their former coach.
Right. Exactly. And yeah, I like that storyline. That's definitely a
the Kelsey brothers, how great. I mean, I know we make fun, with our podcast and whatnot, but if you guys ever watch them with their podcast, I mean, that is the funniest.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's some funny stuff right there.
It'll be shut down probably for 2 weeks though, because they're not going to talk to each other.
Yeah, probably.
Well, do one of those two worry you more? Do you worry? I know, like I mentioned, Mahomes. People say Mahomes, but does one team worry you more at this point, or is at this point it doesn't really matter because we're already in the Super Bowl at that point?
You're down to the Final Four, right?
Yeah.
This is it. These are the 4 best teams left in football. Hopefully after Sunday, we're one of 2 still standing. I'm not going to sit here and say I want the Bengals, I want the Chiefs. I just think the Chiefs matchup would be just magical.
Right.
With all the the family ties and coach and all of that. I just think that Burrow's is pretty good quarterback. He's gonna, if he can stay healthy, he's probably gonna be your next big time
he's the next Tom Brady.
Yeah, he's going to be good. Here's the question: how did Cincinnati get so good so fast?
Joe Burrow.
Right?
But you know what? Like kind of like we were talking with Jalen Hurts though a little bit too. You're gonna have to. They're doing this with him on a rookie contract. So once he gets paid, we'll see how much different that makes as well. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be interesting. When you're the Eagles, Anthony, to answer your question, they're so damn good that you don't worry about any of the teams.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So it's funny. So, the last time they're in the Super Bowl, they're playing Tom Brady. Tom Brady's at the top of his game.
Right.
People were very, very nervous right then because they hadn't been there in a long time. Now I feel like it's the opposite. The Eagles are so good. You feel like you could beat anyone, which is great. As long as you go and you go through your method and do things properly and don't take anyone for granted,
right.
Which you've seen them this year. I don't think they have that mentality where they take the teams for granted. I think they're loose and they have a good time and they play it game by game. So I don't think that will happen, but it just seems like things have changed. Brady was really gotten everyone nervous, but this team's so darn good that you feel like you can beat any team.
It's more, we're not used to it in Philadelphia being in this position. Like you're saying, if there's any kind of nerves, but it's you got 18 Pro Bowlers on your team, and if Goddard and CJ Gardner-Johnson weren't hurt, you'd have probably 20 Pro Bowlers on your team. That just goes to show how deep this team is and how good this team is.
But off of that, you still are not getting any respect.
Well, yeah, I think
here we are again, right?
Yeah.
5 years removed from Super Bowl 52, right? And here we are with the underdog mentality again.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's a Philadelphia thing.
Yeah.
That's the mentality in Philly, is always the underdog.
Yeah, but is that? I guess my question is, I guess we're partial because we're here and we're not out in California. Does a Philly fan out there in California or someone in California feel the same way? Like, man, these Phillies, they're always getting slighted, or is that just a thing here because that's how you think?
I think it's more so a thing here than anywhere.
I don't know that people in other places are like, man, Philadelphia is, they're not getting the respect.
No, most of them hate us.
Well, just look at how much the clowns in Dallas are getting so much talk about, nationally, and and nobody's talking about the Eagles, as far as how good they are.
Well, I'll take it a step further because I think it's the media.
Right.
The media didn't project the Eagles to be 13-0. Going into Week 14, they did not project the Eagles to be this good, this quick under Nick Sirianni. They didn't see this coming, and now all of a sudden, it's like, oh, wait, Philly's that damn good all of a sudden, there was no respect, none whatsoever. Jalen's still not getting any respect.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's another thing. If the media has never thought they were going to be that good, as soon as you start saying they're good, that means you're calling yourself wrong. So, they don't want to give them too much credit. There will be someone, keep winning. I'm sure there's a column somewhere where someone's going to say, whether New York Post or something, hey, we got that one wrong. But in general, those guys don't want to make that because then they look bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I just think, Sirianni's not getting the respect this year. He's not one of the finalists for Coach of the Year. Which, like we were talking, Carl, he probably doesn't care. He wants to win the Super Bowl, but, it's still just, again, here in Philadelphia, you're not getting the respect.
Well, I think that has a little bit to do with what Kevin was saying, because I say it all the time. And obviously you love him because he's your coach. But just as Kevin was saying, he's just like a goofy guy. So he's wearing like whatever shirt that's popular. You know what I mean? Well,
don't you remember last season or the season before that, we were making fun of him because in a press conference or something, he was talking about a garden and growing flowers and letting the guys, bloom where they were. And we thought, like, what the hell is this guy smoking?
Yeah.
If the team,
a little bit with his cockiness too.
If the team wins,
right,
you embrace a goofy guy. If the team starts losing, you say, this guy's a goof. What are we doing with him? So right now he's winning. Let him wear whatever shirt he wants.
Right.
Do whatever the hell he wants as long as he keeps winning.
Yeah, the head nods to the camera when they score a touchdown or whatever is funny in games when they're winning, like you said, Anthony. But that's not, it's going to come back sometimes,
But I definitely think that's the reason he wasn't higher in that voting. 100%. No one will admit that, but he's just a goofy dude, and I think they don't take him serious.
Yeah. Could be.
It's we can talk about that conversation all night long. He has put a lot of veteran coaches on his staff, that have been around. He was talking about, I guess one of the defensive line coaches, his first name escapes me, Tucker. Former player, and he's, Nick gets into the building at 4:00 in the morning, right? And this guy Tucker is already there. You know what I mean? He's already in the building and he's already game planning as far as what he's going to do with his guys. And I'm pretty sure it's the defensive line coach, if I have the name correct. But it's just, they've put in a lot of work. You know what I mean? Yeah. From the beginning of the season, they've put in a lot of work. They've done all the right things. I mean, look at Howie Roseman. Is he not GM of the year? Is he not the executive of the year? I mean,
you would think so.
For putting this whole team together and giving, this crazy ass coach, the free reign to do whatever's necessary. The players love him, and that's the only respect that you need.
Right. Yeah. No, it's true.
So my last question before we wrap up for the night is, I've been seeing a lot on Twitter about, the Eagles have to win the Super Bowl. Otherwise, it feels like the season was a bust. Do you guys feel the same way? Is it win the Super Bowl or we're all disappointed as hell? Or is it similar to the Phillies where we were super grateful to be there in the first place? And yeah, it would have been great to win, but man, that was fun.
Well, I'll go first. I think we had a hell of a year. We may not have lost any games if it wasn't for Jalen getting hurt. We may have gone undefeated. So I think the team has put itself in a really good spot. And at this point, I think, it's balls to the wall. You know what I mean? I think you got to win Sunday. And whoever you got for the Super Bowl, you bring it home and here we go. We got another parade down Broad Street. I think that's the mentality of this team right now.
I think the difference was for the Phillies, they kind of like scuttled their way in, and we weren't sure. They were struggling all year, but because the Eagles have done so well, I feel like obviously if they lost this week, you would still want to be proud of the team. But I feel like people think it's a bust, whereas the Phillies had to do so much work to get there. That would have been like, even though it wouldn't have been a miracle, you would have felt like it would have been a darn miracle how it was, a month before that. So, yeah, I think people should be proud if they don't. But, yeah, I think the majority of people will be very disappointed if they don't win because they won so many games.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. I mean, when you get this close, you want to win. I don't know that it's a bust completely, but like Joey's saying, there's a lot of guys that are free agents at the end of this year. You got eight guys on your defense that are free agents that you're going to have to pay.
But get back to Lauren's question. You got two games to win. You worry about those contracts in the offseason.
Oh yeah, you worry about that afterwards. But no, as far as being a bust, that I guess that's why they're thinking it's a bust if you don't, because then you may not have this for next year. I guess is why they're saying that. But no, I don't think it would be, because I mean you had so much growth in Jalen Hurts this year. He's taken leaps and bounds. Sirianni's taken big steps to show, hey, I could do what we're doing. We were complaining last year that they didn't win against playoff teams. Well, they're 6-0 this year against playoff teams.
Well, so let me just back up the horse, because if the Kansas City Chiefs can pay Patrick Mahomes $500 million and still be competitive year in and year out, it can be done, right? It can be done.
Well, and you can also see, not that it always happens, it doesn't always happen, but there were times after the Super Bowl last time that guys took less money because they like to play here.
Right.
So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but maybe they like the environment so much that $20 million to $35 million to them is not the end of the world, and they want to keep winning. Not that that's the case, but it happened last time for a bunch of people.
Look at Jason Kelsey working on a 1-year deal. Right? Brandon Graham's reworked his contract, I believe, 2 or 3 times. Lane Johnson's reworked his contract. Fletcher Cox reworked his contract. These guys are true Philadelphia Eagles. They want to win.
It's not impossible that happens again.
Exactly.
You win a Super Bowl, then everyone says, maybe I'll stay here for a bit.
Right. Oh yeah. No. It's going to be a fun ride. We don't have to worry about the bust, because they're going to win. So.
Well, those pools that they run on Twitter. They gotta figure out what everybody's heads, where everybody's heads at that particular moment.
Well, Vegas has it as the favorite to win the Super Bowl.
Well, they didn't 6 weeks ago.
No, but they do now. So that's again puts Philadelphia in a different situation, because, like you're saying, Lauren, we like to be the underdogs and win from there. But
just look at it. Like Anthony said, we had the Phillies this year, right? The Sixers are in the best spot that they have been in since Joel Embiid became a 76ers, right?
Right.
Now you got the Eagles, just a few years removed from Super Bowl 52. We're right back in the game again, right? The only team that's floundering out there is the Flyers right now. And
who have been playing well lately.
You want to throw the Philadelphia Union in there? I mean, come on. I mean, this is a great sports town.
Oh yeah.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, just before we end it, so you got Paul Reed at the store on Friday.
Great segue.
I just saw on the corner of the TV last time that they played the Nets, he had 19 points.
All right.
And they said Joel Embiid's a game time decision, so I don't know. Maybe he can get 19 points again.
B-Ball Reed comes to Havertown Friday night. We got a busy February, throughout the company with Carl's Cards, This Fan's View. So if you're not following us, shame on you.
February 8th, we're going to be in Buffalo Wild Wings.
Mm-hmm.
The new spot.
You talk about a crazy man. How about Hollis Thomas?
Exactly. That could be the end of my life for that day when Hollis is there.
Yeah,
That's not
I'm not losing any tables that night.
that's not the
Well, that might be real. Hollis might put John through an actual table. It won't be a staged photo. That would be real.
I was going to say that's not the restaurant with the Cheeto flavored wings, is it? Because he might be in trouble if that's it.
No, I think that's a different one.
Oh, okay.
No, but we'll be bringing Cheetos though for him. We'll be bringing a big bag to keep them occupied on the show.
Hey, great show, great conversation. Sorry about the Facebook feed if it truly was a Facebook glitch. We'll have Kevin back. Maybe we can get a clear sunny some clear sunshine next Wednesday night. We can have him back and talk about the win on Sunday.
Absolutely.
So, Kevin, if you're watching, thank you. Thanks for joining us, and you're welcome. You're welcome back anytime, guys. You got any closing comments? Go for it.
Nope. Other than go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Have a great week, everybody. See you next week.